Welcome back to All Things Baseball Podcast. This is episode 16. Today we're going to be talking about the World Series and the end of the season recap. Our Yankees, we did not win.
We did not win. I said Yankees in 7, and they lost in 5.
Yeah.
So
I think I said Yankees in 5, but
so you got the 5 right.
Yeah, I got the 5 right. Just the other way around. But credit to the Dodgers. They played well. Let's get into it. The World Series and end of season recap.
All right, so we're going to get into the World Series here and kind of dig in.
Yeah.
But before we do, please like and subscribe. You know, we've been doing this for, I guess, 4 months now, and we've got over 4,300 subscribers. And so some of you like us. Some of you are still deciding, but you subscribe. And some of you don't like us, and that really hurts. And you moved on, and we'll never see you again. But for those of you who like us and are still deciding, hit that like button, subscribe. You can always change your mind afterwards, but we really appreciate it. It helps us grow the channel.
Thank you.
All right, so a quick overview, like just of kind of like a high level stats overview of the World Series. Obviously, the Dodgers won 4-1.
Yeah.
They both scored pretty much close to the same runs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Dodgers scored 25 during the 5 games, and the Yankees scored 24. So that was close. The averages, the pitching was pretty good, right?
Oh, for sure.
So you got, what did the Yankees hit during the series?
Looks like
212.
212, yep.
Yeah, and the Dodgers hit 206. So the pitching was pretty good. Obviously, the Dodgers had more timely hits, certainly Freddie Freeman did.
Oh, yeah.
But the Yankees had more home runs, which I would not have guessed this if you were, if I didn't look it up.
Didn't feel like it, yeah.
Didn't feel like it. Freddie Freeman had, more than half of the Dodgers home runs, right? And then the average for runners in scoring position, again, you would think the Dodgers be more clutch. They hit 184 with runners in scoring position, and the Yankees hit 200. So I found that pretty fascinating. But as we talked about offline, it really does come down to what the series was all about, and it was defense, and base running.
And base running, for sure.
And one of us predicted this in our road to the World Series, and I think that person was you. Tell me what your thought was on that.
So when I was thinking about the big games and, how, I don't know, I guess big games play out, it usually comes down to the errors and making just the fundamental plays, like the routine plays.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the one that comes to mind is, and it stinks thinking about it, is that 5th inning where
that was epic.
It was, like, I've never seen anything like that. I mean, we were watching it live, and it was like...
And you could watch 50 more World Series and never see an inning that bad.
Yeah. And that game is just one of the, 5 that we could have had more executed chances and taken care of the plays that we needed to take care of. But it wasn't just that inning that, screwed us all up. Like, it was just, Glaber with the play at second.
Well, we'll dig into all of it. I will say this, that Susan Waldman, who's an announcer for the Yankees, she said if you watch the Yankees all season, and she obviously is an announcer, she watched every game. Mm-hmm. She said a lot of these things happened quite often, miscues on the base path or, just the ball, as somebody said, squirting through the infield with, relays and stuff like that, like not securing the ball. Mm-hmm. And her big issue was players being put in positions that they were not accustomed to. They were playing out of position.
Yeah.
So we're going to dig into all that just because we feel like it was the World Series. It was the focal point of the World Series. Yeah. And there was some pretty good articles, one in the Post, the New York Post, and I think it was Joel Sherman, and he wrote basically that, the Dodgers did a scouting report on the Yankees and said that they were talent over fundamentals, and then if you put pressure on them, that they would not execute. So they made a big point about running out every ball. and, putting pressure on the defense when they could with, slides and hustle and things like that.
You saw that game for sure. You could see we won by a pretty big margin. I say we, no, but we were. It was like,
well, you were on deck, but you never got in. So you could say
that's close. Yeah,
you were there.
It did feel like the pressure was on them from most of the game, and then it looked like they were never connecting, and we could never keep that same energy, or that there was never that same feeling,
right?
Going into the first 3 games and the last one,
right? So the first game, let's talk about the first game. So the first game really came down to, it was a really tight game. Cole pitched well.
Yeah.
Flaherty pitched well.
Yeah.
We did go up 2-1. And then you get to the late innings, and Ohtani hits a double off the wall.
Yeah.
Not a short double, though. Okay. So, for viewers out there that maybe don't coach, and a lot of coaches know this, when you have a relay, if it's a ball that there's going to be a play at second, like in this case, it was off the wall. The ball was hit almost at the top of the wall, but about 3/4 up the wall. Soto goes over to field it. It's more right center.
Right.
And he kind of hesitates. And again, in comparison to Mookie Betts, who kept all the Yankees to singles when the ball was hit to him.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea, like that guy practices that all the time, apparently.
He looks so good at it.
He's so good at it. But Soto took the ball off the wall. He kind of had trouble getting the ball out of his glove. So here it is in a nutshell. Okay. So on this play, very pivotal play in game 1.
Yeah.
The biggest problem wasn't so much that Soto hesitates to throw it. Okay, so he's not as fast as Mookie Betts doing it, but he throws the ball instead of a one hopper to second.
Yeah.
He throws. I mean, I'm pointing to the logo, but if this is second base, he throws the ball into the infield, like inside the base.
Right.
And so Torres, who's covering second, really, it should have been Volpe covering second. Volpe was out in right center for some reason. And he just throws it past both infielders, and Torres doesn't secure the ball. It actually short hops or in between hops Torres and then skirts away. And then what happens?
Ohtani went to third, right?
Ohtani went to third. Now, how is that important? The next batter up is Mookie Betts, and he hits a rocket to center and has a sacrifice fly and ties the game.
Yeah.
Now, we go into the last inning. It's tied up. We go into extra innings. And that's obviously, we know what happened in extra innings. Freeman hits the home run. But we never get to extra innings, most likely, if we simply just make a relay or a one-hop throw to Volpe, who should have been covering second. So the reason why I mentioned this is I had a text string, a conversation with former coach yours, Adam, and we were talking about, I asked him, I said, do you think they communicated a switch off? And he said, well, they don't allow the shift anymore. So why would they switch off? Volpe should be on this side of the bag. Obviously Torres on the other side of the bag. Ball's hit the right center. So the second baseman would kind of go out in case it's for some reason it's a short throw, but the shortstop should be covering second. He's the better fielder.
Right. Yeah.
So that's wrong. And then he throws the ball completely off, and Torres just tries to do a nonchalant backhand, and the ball squirts away enough for Ohtani to go. So that was the play of the game.
Yeah.
And that lost him the game, in my opinion.
I think so.
Because if he stays on second and Mookie Betts hits that shot to center field, the worst thing that happens is he now tags up and goes to third, and then Cole, I believe, struck out the next guy.
He did.
So, I mean, that's the game. So the point of this is that fundamentally, so what people are writing about the Yankees is they were not a sound fundamental team.
No.
And in this series, you just have so many examples of it. And you have examples of coaching decisions that just maybe didn't make sense.
Yeah, a lot of these plays came at the worst times, too.
For sure.
Yeah, it was just game-tying stuff. It's all the stuff came at the wrong time, I think. It could never happen early, and then we could never bounce back, or, it was already too late.
It was already too late. It felt that way for sure. It felt that way for sure. Now, for my money, again, I was counting on when we did the World Series, Road to the World Series, that the Yankees pitching was going to be really good.
Right.
And for the most part, it was. Conley
Yeah.
was good, and Garrett Cole was fine. I didn't have a problem with the way he pitched.
No,
Game 2, I don't think Rodon pitched great, but
no.
the relievers did fine, and so I felt like pitching advantage to the Yankees. I would say it was pretty even. I would say timely hitting, even though the
Struck out
Yankees
way too much.
we definitely struck out
lot
way.
of
I say we
pitches.
again. Yankees did. Sorry to
Yeah.
all the fans who are non-Yankees. The Yankees struck out way too much. It just felt like the game was. Let's talk about base running too. The Dodgers report was put pressure on the Yankees defense, make them make throws.
Yeah.
Even that, I saw a breakdown. Even that incredible 5th inning of the last game where we made all those errors, that pop up that Aaron Judge dropped. Do you know what happened there?
He missed it like off his glove. What happened?
You had a runner on first base who Lux, who was actually way off the base. Like you know how when you read a fly ball and you kind of go halfway. Yeah. I would say in that instance, if you watched it, I saw a guy break down the video. Judge, as he was about to catch the ball, peeked out of the corner of his eye to look at Lux to see, I have a chance to double this guy up. And so he kind of baited him for that, and he dropped the ball.
Took his eye off.
And so Lux, when he dropped the ball, you would think, he could pick up the ball and throw the guy out at second base for a force.
Yeah.
But Lux was pushing it. Like he was pushing the envelope there to push it. I did not realize that until someone broke it down on the internet about him. Literally, his eyes went right to Lux before he dropped the ball. So that was one example.
Yeah.
Another example was in that fateful inning, Volpe fields a ground ball to the third base side, and Jazz Chisholm is out of position in terms of taking the throw. Volpe did the right thing. Ball was hit to to the third base side. He had a force play there. So he made the right decision to go over there.
Didn't give him a great feed.
But Kike, do you know how far over he slid to the side of?
I remember seeing that. Yeah.
He slid right in the path of the throw. So instead of sliding straight into the bag,
he did a great job. Yeah,
right. And again, your coach Adam pointed out that that's something that they teach. That's something that Kike knows to do. Whereas you wouldn't see that high level of a play probably with the Yankees. At least I haven't seen
Jazz
it.
probably has a better chance of scooping that if he's not in the baseline.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Right. And he was, he did a great job with that. So, and then, of course, the final play in that inning that just put the nail in the coffin. Still, they had given up no runs. The Yankees were up 5-0, 2 outs.
Yeah.
And a ball is hit to first base. And we all watched it together. Our producer, you, me, we watched the game, and we're looking at this going, I don't know. We all screamed, what? Like, what happened here?
Rizzo fields it.
So let me break it down for you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
First thing that happens is Mookie Betts hits a cue ball shot off the bat.
Right.
So it looks like in the first bounce, it looks like it's a normal ground ball. But because it was hit on the end of the bat, it actually, Rizzo overran the ball and had to actually, his first steps were to get to the ball. And then it kind of ricocheted back into the infield. So he had to pause, change his balance to stick that right hand glove out and catch the ball. Now, the way they practice this, pitcher and first baseman, is obviously the pitcher breaks, which Cole did. He broke hard.
Yeah.
But he ended up, and Rizzo saw that. So he's thinking as soon as he catches the ball that Cole will be there. Cole stops for some inexplicable reason. He stops.
Yeah.
So I had sent a freeze frame of this play and where Cole was, where Mookie was, where Rizzo was, right when Rizzo got the ball. And it was just heartbreaking to see if you're a Yankees fan. You're just very happy if you're not, that Cole stops. Yeah. And so some people were blaming Rizzo. I wasn't blaming Rizzo, but Coach Adam pointed out very correctly.
No, I don't blame him. No.
He said, Cole has to continue running up. Cole didn't think that he could get there. Cole had so much like of a shorter distance than Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts has 90 feet. Cole has about 30 feet to get from, or 33 feet is basically from the pitcher's mound to first base.
Right. Yeah. It's a shorter distance. Just the fact that he did stop like halfway, maybe almost not even halfway.
Right.
And didn't try to finish out the play.
So Rizzo, because he had to kick back and his balance was off, you would think that if he charged the ball, he could have beaten Mookie Betts to the bag. And I thought that. I certainly thought that he could have.
Yeah.
It would have been a close play. But the fault does lie with Cole, and he's got to finish the play.
Something about that morale in that inning. He saw those 2 errors and was already frustrated. So probably put him in the mood like, I want to get out of this inning, but, I'm frustrated. And he just, I don't know, something didn't click there.
Something didn't click. And again, after that, now here's where I'll tell you where something that nobody's talking about that I noticed. So now the inning continues. Mm-hmm. The run scores. Instead of being out of the inning with still a 5-0 lead, even after the drop from Aaron Judge, the Volpe bad throw, and the Jism non-pick, you still have a chance to get out of the inning with that play, and we don't get it. So think about it. You make that play, it's 5-0. The Yankees win that game.
Mm-hmm.
They got the momentum and everything.
Yeah.
But what happens now? Once Teoscar gets up and hits that ball to center field and drives in a couple of runs, right? I don't think people understand that was a catchable ball. Teoscar's hit was a fly ball, not a soaring line drive. It was a deep fly ball, one hop the wall, which means that a better center fielder would have been standing underneath it.
Thought about that, yeah.
And Aaron Judge, who I love as a right fielder, he's a phenomenal right fielder. He's not a high-level center fielder. The metrics basically say, even though he didn't make an error pretty much the whole season, except for the World Series one, he just doesn't get to balls. He does not have center field speed. So my contention is that 2/3 to, even higher of all the major league center fielders in the league would have been standing underneath that Teoscar ball. Now, you're going to have some people out there that completely disagree with me. Watch it again. He slows down. First of all, it's the World Series. I don't know why he's not diving for it. Now, you could say he doesn't want to dive his head into the wall.
Right.
But it one-hopped the wall. It didn't hit the wall. So he slows up and just plays it off the wall. And I saw it at the time. I was like, I got to go back and look at that.
Yeah.
To me, again, you got a player out of position. So you got Jazz Chisholm out of position. He never played third base until the playoffs.
Yeah.
Or right at the end of the season. You've got Aaron Judge out of position. Torres is not a great fielder. So now you start really analyzing this. And to your point, it just blew up in the Yankees' face.
Yeah, that's what I felt like. Game 5 really, that could have been the way to get back into it, back into the series. Being down 3-1 and then making it a 3-2 series. I think that puts more pressure on them, especially going back to LA.
Right.
But I guess we'll never know. Looking back at it now, but so let's take a look at some of the strategy. We talked a little bit about Boone's decision to take Cole out early, and then the Nestor putting him in late, which I think was unfair.
It was unfair to Nestor.
Yeah.
Well, and Yankees everywhere. For sure. And I felt bad about it at the time. I think I even said something like, it seems like you want to have a lefty on a lefty, but you pointed out right at the time that Freeman...
He was 9 for 14 with bases loaded against lefty-lefty.
Right. You said it at the time.
With 4 home runs. Yeah, it was...
So we were like, what analytics are they looking at?
Yeah. And
that was a head scratcher.
And you could see it was just a little snippet of what we're going to see for the rest of the series was Freddie Freeman he came to play.
He was locked in.
I knew game 2 after he hit that second home run because he hit 4 home runs in 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or maybe 5. Well, going back to the last World Series that he was in, he actually hit a home run his last game.
Yep.
So they counted that in terms of the record. Yeah.
Right. With the Braves.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just looking at game after game 2, you're like, yeah, if they win this, he's going to be the MVP, no doubt. Like,
right.
He looked so good. Offensively, playing on a sprained ankle too.
Right.
And I remember they talked a lot about that.
But to your point about strategy, so it felt like Dave. First of all, a lot of the strategy the Dodgers employed was from their scouting.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said early,
they
had a scouting report. They said run out every ball, put pressure on them, slide to the side that's going to upset the fielder. They're not going to relay the ball. They're not going to secure the ball. Quickly on base running, and you know this, and any coach knows this. If you're a coach out there, you know that when you're coaching a player, if you're going over base running, if you're trying to teach base running, you know that there are some base runners that are instinctual, and you know that they're just excellent base runners because they're instinctual and they practice it, and they're always looking to advance when they read the ball, right? If they read the ball, not safe, that they're looking to advance, etc. Then you've got players that are not instinctual, but they get taught well. Like they get taught well how to run the bases, how to slide, where to slide, hook slides. They get taught how to read, and they also get reminded by coaches. Like a good example would be if you're at second base and you're not forced. If the ball's hit to the shortstop or to the left side, you obviously don't want to get caught in a rundown.
Right.
The Yankees get caught in rundowns all the time. Yeah. So a good coach knows that if I've got an instinctual base runner, that's great. But if I've got a base runner who's not instinctual, we can still make him a good base runner by really teaching him, what to look for and to remind themselves while they're on the base path. And I think based on what I heard, the scouting report, the Dodgers really emphasized what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Whereas, the Yankees probably didn't talk base running the entire season. They probably do it in spring training, and then they just rely on their talent. And to me, that's where good coaching comes in. I'll give you, for an example, I was a pretty instinctual base runner. You were pretty good, but you also were taught well. So, base running can be taught if you're really working on it for players that maybe it doesn't come as natural. I had a player, his name was Dalton. I knew from the first time I coached him when he was 10, he actually was a fourth grader playing up in the sixth grade league, that he was the best base runner on the field. Mm-hmm. He was always looking to advance bases. He was always watching to see if they secured the ball or if it was a bad relay, whatever, and always just advancing. He read the dirt balls well. He knew instinctually that he could beat, like if a catcher blocked a ball, but it got squirted away a little far, he could still go. Whereas most guys, they'll go a step and then they'll hesitate. Like they don't read instinctually, the blocked balls. This kid did. And so whenever I see an instinctual player, you want to make sure you put them in a good position.
I feel the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what they did. That was part of their strategy. What other strategies do you think that the Yankees screwed up on?
I think, if you take a look back at how long guys were left in and when it was time for them to come out, I felt like leaving Cole out there would be fine. I mean, he went into the 6th, 7th inning, but he was only at about 88 pitches.
This is on the first game.
Yeah.
So we talked about that. We felt like if you leave Cole in, then because Conley was in when Ohtani hit the double off the wall, right?
Yeah.
So if you left him in, maybe you never even have that scenario. So 88 pitches, your best pitcher, he was dealing.
He was looking.
He gave
really
up
good.
a single, and then they take him out. So that was a decision. What else? What else stood out to you in terms of maybe just a bad decision? What about that one where late in the game, I think it was still game 1 or 2, where they took Torres out for pinch runner? And what happened the next inning? This was the first game. Again.
Oswaldo, he had to come in and play second, and he made the error.
I don't think they gave him an error. It was a backhanded play that he didn't come up with. That if he had started,
Much
if he
tougher
fielded
play for out of position.
Right, he was out of position. Yeah. And how many games did Oswaldo Cabrera play at second base this year? Had to have been less than 10.
Handful. Played first, third, and bits and pieces.
Little
of the
short.
outfield. Yeah, short.
A little bit of outfield.
Second, not really like a
Didn't
whole
play
lot.
second base.
No.
So now what they did was the inning before Torres gets on and they pinch run for Torres for Oswaldo. And Oswaldo's not that much faster than Torres.
Right, I didn't
It's
know.
not like it was like, oh, you're going from Steve Balboni to, you don't know who that is.
No,
Steve
I don't
Balboni was a big lumbering guy that the Yankees had back in the 80s. Big guy. It wasn't like the difference was like Ricky Henderson to Steve Balboni.
I somewhat understand that one.
Yeah. This was like you got a average speed guy and a above average speed guy.
Yeah.
And I would argue that, again, Oswaldo, you're making the defensive switch. It just wasn't worth it. And it proved to be right because backhand to him, if he makes the backhanded play, he starts the double play. It was hit hard.
Yeah.
And it wasn't an easy chance. But that's actually a ball that Torres is pretty good on. He's not a great second baseman, as we know. But that's a play that I think he makes and starts the double play, and they're out of that inning.
I think so.
So strategy-wise, again, huge mistake in my opinion. You sacrificed defense. And again, talking to some of my friends and some of the people that that we value their opinion, it's like if you don't value the ball, is the way it was phrased, it'll show up in the big games.
Yes, I fully agree with that.
So you predicted this.
Defense, yeah, it really did feel like it mattered most, and when it came down to it, the Yankees just couldn't come up with big plays when we needed it.
That's it. I mean, World Series wise, you had the big inning, which we went over. Yeah. You had some other, decisions that were made. Nobody hit the ball great. Judge didn't hit the ball great. He started to come around at the end. He actually had some good at bats.
Yeah.
He got hit once. He walked a little bit. He started not chasing. He got some pitches. He started to come around. If we had gotten through that game,
the dark horses. Kike.
You were right about him.
I think he showed up a little bit more.
A lot of pressure on the defense with his base running.
Definitely. Jazz, his stick was pretty good. I think
So you're thinking of the dark horses from the road to the World Series.
Yeah.
The ones that we talked about.
Some guys stepped up more than others for sure.
Right.
The stars really weren't showing out until maybe later.
Except for Freeman.
Except for Freeman, yes.
Ohtani didn't hit. He hurt himself the shoulder.
I think Betts
didn't hit.
No, he had a couple hits, but nothing crazy.
He's a great fielder. Great base runner.
Yes, his fielding
and base running. So here's the thing. If you are a complete player like Mookie Betts is, and they pitch well to you.
Yeah, sometimes you don't even really need much of it. You just need to play great defense and hold the Yankees to singles, like you said. Verdugo didn't show up. Rizzo really didn't show up. Soto, iffy. I mean, he had some.
He hit okay.
Yeah,
he hit okay.
Defense
wasn't great.
No,
it wasn't like, except for that one play was very costly.
Yeah,
it wasn't. Other than that, and that really was costly. He started the problem, but to me, Torres has got to come up with the ball. And I don't even know why Volpe wasn't covering second base. I don't know. I don't understand why they did that switch off. I was going back and forth with some people on that. We didn't quite understand why they did that. Maybe they communicated it. Maybe they just were confused.
Maybe.
But they were both out of position, I can tell you that. And the throw was offline.
Yeah, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
So that was the World Series.
Yeah.
So the World Series was that in a nutshell. Got to give it to the Dodgers, so the season's over.
Yeah.
And now we turn ourselves to, the end of the season thoughts, maybe some quick thoughts. Really kind of, what we want to do as we continue this podcast is start to analyze the off season and go over the free agency and see what, like what the Yankees would do, what some of the other teams would do. Who would you say, as we finish this season, as the season is finished, who would you say are some of the upcoming teams?
So we got the Tigers, Mets, Braves, the Guardians, and the Orioles. Just a lot of promising talent.
Yeah. Maybe
Seattle.
Seattle's got
possibly
pitching.
The Mariners, yeah.
Great pitching.
They all really have promising prospects and players that I think are really going to start taking the league over. Even the Reds. I think Ellie's only really showed flashes of his greatness.
Right.
So, yeah, I think those teams have a much better chance of pushing further into the playoffs. I know the Mets, they had a great run. Guardians, great run.
Right. So this is what we'll focus on probably when we do, like a full upcoming 2025 season. And before we talk about free agents and finish this episode, I do want to mention, for those of you who do subscribe and watch and listen, and we have
It's here.
our 3/4 shirt with our logo on it, and so we're selling these just $17. And I'm going to put it up again because I really want you to see how great it is. So 3/4, so it's the fall, folks. You should be, boom, boom. You should be thinking about dressing more warmly. And the 3/4 shirt,
Christmas is right around the corner.
right around the corner. We're selling these. It helps us grow it helps us grow the podcast. It's just we'll have more apparel.
Where can you find them?
We will the email where you can email us if you want one will be down below in the links. It's going to be something that we'll share. You can buy one, and we'd love to see it. We have them small through extra large. Anyway, cool. But just to finish this episode up, free agents. What are the top free agents before we close out this season?
Juan Soto, Garrett Cole, Corbin Burns, Pete Alonso, Jack Flaherty, Cody Bellinger, just to name a few.
Tanner Scott. So this is a very unusual offseason that you've got so many top flight free agencies. So that's an episode that we're going to get into.
A lot of money.
Yeah, and I think you'll see the Yankees are going to probably have a vastly different they have some players that they won't re-sign.
Yeah.
And then they'll have some players that they'll want to re-sign. It might be tough to re-sign, like Soto.
Yeah, and it's kind of been a trial and error. And this year it's been a lot more success in the bigger picture of things. Just the core group really was connecting.
Right.
Whereas in the past, where we might have had guys where the Yankees have signed Benintendi, Bader, Carpenter, Donaldson. Some of these guys just really couldn't really stick in the core of the group.
Some bad signings.
Gio.
Or just
Gio, I think, is a different thing. But
yeah, he was a super utility guy.
Yeah,
played
but
first, second, short,
this year
third.
for sure, I think it would be in their best interest to sign a lot of these guys, at least the ones that really were the core part of the team. And the Dodgers, I think, with all the money they have over there and the championship won now, I think it would be in their best interest to sign a lot of their guys.
So I think if you're watching this, if your team is in the hunt for some free agents, hopefully they emphasize and put a premium on defense and base running, because that stood out in the World Series. And I think everybody goes for the talent and goes for the home run and the strikeouts, and certainly you should. Yankees would not have been in the World Series without their talent. Everybody knows that. But, if you're going to play the best team in the World Series, you better know your fundamentals. And that is what we want to finish on.
Yeah. All right. So this was episode 16. We really appreciate you tuning in, watching the end of the season and World Series recap. Thanks. See you next week.
All right.